Games-driven video game podcast.
Ah, yes. Whether it's a beer, a shot, or even a glass of wine, as always, grab your favorite beverage and welcome to your favorite live interactive video game podcast. It's the Level 857 Video Game Podcast with your hosts, as always, Algie857.
The 23rd Stallion.
Sticks.
Turbo 857.
And your boy Big Chalk. What up?
And a special guest we have on the podcast tonight belong to indie dev SMG Studios, responsible for bringing us a sequel to one of the most cleanest, chaotic, and beloved couch co-op party simulation experiences that you can play on modern consoles today. Please put your hands together and give a warm round of applause for the developers of Moving Out 2 for the second time, CEO Ashley Ringrose, and for the very first time, senior game designer David Lockman.
Hey, welcome.
Yeah, we need that kind of like hype intro before we come to any podcast. So like, we'll ask you to do a recording for that after this. That was great.
No
to
problem.
wake me up in the morning.
No problem.
Yeah.
That'll be your alarm.
Yeah. No, I'll do that. We'll record a clip for them, send it to them. Yeah, that'd be great.
All right, you can do it.
Yeah.
That'd be great.
More work for you.
It's like more work. I record it once, give it to them. It's fine. Totally cool.
There you go.
We can do
Welcome
that
to
on
the
camera.
show, y'all.
Yeah,
man.
yes.
Good to have you on.
No, thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us.
It's awesome.
Want
And
to do a quick shout out to the chat real quick?
Shout
We'll
out
go
to
to
the
do the roll
chat.
call.
What's going on? Cafe Fox is in the building.
Chevy Fox.
Prince Chow is in the building.
Royalty Prince
What's going
Chow.
on? What's going
And
on?
I don't know who else is in the building. I think that's it, right?
They
everybody
need to
shows
speak
up,
up. They in there.
They in there.
Y'all can chat.
They
lurking.
We'll chat
All
back.
right.
Congratulations, guys, on Moving Out 2 is released.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah, man.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's been awesome. It's been really cool.
What's going on, Sheila?
Yeah, it's been interesting doing a sequel because we were just curious as to what people would want to see more of, and we put all the effort in for the online multiplayer. So yeah, it's good that it's been received well, and big relief for the team as well because we basically rolled straight from the DLC for Moving Out 1 straight into this. So it's been 2.5 years in the pandemic, making this game.
Wow. And the online, I must say, it works really well. Because you guys are playing here, 3 players, and then you connected with me as like the online 4th player, and I was just like, wow, I didn't know you guys included mixed multiplayer. Because a lot of people just like when you do the online, everyone's got to be online, like their own console usually, or it's local co-op. But you guys mixed it, which not a lot of multiplayer. There's not every multiplayer game that offers local and online do that. So that was really cool.
Yeah, it's like a one line on the like cross-player, multiplayer, like one line on the description, and it's a lot of work. So Steve and the team did a lot of stuff there. It's not just in the multiplayer, but just in the account recognition, because like even your friends list has to be cross-play, so you can't just use the native console friends list. So yeah, just that one extra cross-play, just that extra couple of words adds a huge level of complexity. Now we know. It wasn't as easy as we thought.
Save files as well. Who do we give the wins to as well? There's so much work that goes into that.
How difficult was it to implement?
Yeah. Like there's that thing about like doors. Like here's a level of outdoors, but doors are hard in one of the hardest things in game dev. And I'd say no, cross-player multiplayer is, doors are easy compared to that.
Jay, what did you say? You had a question.
Oh no, I said how difficult was it to implement because it's not usual. It's like a hard thing to put.
Yeah.
It's from the ground up.
And basically had to rewrite for Moving Out 2. Had to rewrite the whole game engine. Basically because the physics and the kind of controls all happen like on the server side, and so basically had to rewrite everything. And Dave and Brody, the main level designers, and Jay came on. Were working in the old engine for prototyping and just blocking out levels. And then once the Moving Out 2 engine got up to scratch, then we switched over and, basically ported the levels over. So yeah, it was basically a total rewrite. It wasn't just like, all right, now we'll just add the extra online stuff. It's like, you have to, because it's physics and deterministic, if 2 players are in conflict, which one actually, is the authority. That all had to be rewritten. So yeah, it's a lot of work, not just adding multiplayer means rewriting, but then the crossplay, yeah, all of that stuff. Team 17 have a pretty big QA team as well, so we did a lot of like. Luckily, we quashed all the bugs before, but yeah, there's just the complexities huge, and then each console wants you to jump through more hoops as well. So submitting the game just gives if this is how much you have to submit on PlayStation normally, it's like this much more when you have online multiplayer,
Wow.
and then a little bit more if it's crossplay because they've all just got to double check for permissions and yeah, it was not easy.
Wow. I can imagine. I can only imagine.
The game is on pretty much. It's on every system, right? Pretty much.
Yeah.
Every,
Yeah.
like, so
yeah, even PS4 were on because for our type of game, the PS4 becomes the kind of family console, and the PS5 becomes like the gamer console. So we wanted to make sure we're on both of those, and because we're on Switch, we're already kind of optimized for Switch, so it can easily work on a PS4. Versus if you're only making a next gen game and then you have to downgrade it or optimize for a lower console, would be a lot harder.
So while you were doing it, did you have one base to work on for all of them, or any of them different?
No, it's one. It's one base. Yeah.
Yeah, and then you basically splinter off a few extra. For PS5 and Xbox Series X and PC, you can add a few more bits of shadows and stuff like that. But yeah, you basically start with the one base and then just add extra embellishes, and then optimize for Switch and PS4 and Series S, just to kind of tune some things. So Brody, correct me if I'm wrong, we had like each level had like sometimes like different level sets, like just in terms of the decorations and stuff per console. Is that right? Or level of optimization?
Not per console, but there were a few consoles that we had to take a few out, mainly the Switch.
Yeah, and that's just like little dressings, or we call them boopables, like things that you can knock into. Just being more strategic with the dressing of the level versus filling every nook and cranny with stuff that you can knock over.
Wow.
Like all those windows we broke.
Oh, dude,
Yeah.
we destroy every house we go into.
Yeah,
Nice.
we call it Demolition Crew.
Yeah.
That's what
That
we
should
want.
be a downloadable
And that's-
DLC.
Yeah, and that's kind of the we want you when you finish a level to make it look like it's been trashed or at a party. So we've added all those things like breakable windows and boopables and stuff to kind of have that effect. But yeah, like if you had unlimited CPU, you could dress the levels with a lot more detail. So you have to be more strategic. You can see here some things there's just little bits and pieces on the wall and in the kind of do the environmental storytelling. You have to be a lot more strategic with that on the other the less current gen consoles.
Gotcha. Whose idea was it to do the sliding door?
Oh,
That was Brody. No, that was Brody's idea. That was the other designer. Yeah, he was the door master, and that's his level, the door level. And to be honest, we're very proud of those doors. They add so much to the gameplay.
They're pretty cool.
Yeah,
They do add.
yeah, it's
Oh,
and
they
we've
add
got
a
the
lot.
one-way doors. Yeah, it's one of those ones where like the way we brainstorm is like instead of because you can infinitely do anything in a game. So it's like, all right, what about doors? How do we brainstorm doors and what are the different options? So we've got one-way doors, sliding doors, and just that mechanic adds adds to an existing level in a different way. So yeah, we kind of like to constrain the thinking to then come up with different solutions, and then you can. And it's very tactile as well. Like you grab the door and slide it, so it kind of works well to the players use their hands a lot. So
It kind of came from when we were looking at new mechanics. We were like, what can we? All right, our game's all about grabbing things and moving them, and it's like, well, what other things can we grab and move? And sliding doors was like a natural kind of progression to grab and move around. Same with that wrecking ball there. Yeah, you pick that up and you grab it and you move it. So we kind of wanted to expand that simple grab and move gameplay.
Yeah, I like the wrecking ball. That's
That's another Brody special. You should have Brody on here.
And it's also grabbing stuff, and then how does that work for 2 and 3, 4 player like co-op? So it's like, okay, you slide the door and then you slide it for someone else. So the door becomes a co-op mechanic, and same with the wrecking ball. It's like, you have to go on each side, and so it's always trying to add that that co-op element or play together, because there's some things like, oh, you can just grab that, but it doesn't lend itself as much to the two players. So even the drones there, it's like one person grabs the drone node and the other person controls the drone, so it becomes a two-player object or a mechanic really.
Wow.
Yeah, those are some ingenious ideas.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It's coming from the first game, going to the second one. We didn't know, like, the first stage was pretty much similar. So it's like, what could they add to this one to make it completely different? And right away, like some of the additions you added, like the doors, were like, all right, this is not the same. It's definitely not.
Oh no, when the worlds opened up, when we did the
after you passed the first one,
for first area, then we're like, oh, everything just took, all the mechanics are like, you have to use everything for like every stage, and it was pretty awesome. Pretty
that's
awesome.
cool. That's really cool to hear.
And then you get more angry at your partners.
Well, if they're really garbage, they better be good.
Yeah. But the
I mean,
is the music the same person from the first game? Because we were loving. I mean, the music's still incredible. It's got that '80s feel, but is it the exact same from the same person or different?
Different people.
No, so the first one we got Lenny. I can't remember his last name. I just remember his Lenny. But we basically had him raid his unused stuff, literally from the '80s. He had demos and stuff, and he worked with.
He did Transformers.
That's right. Yeah, because we couldn't license that track, but it was like, oh, I have all this other stuff that never went commercial or never got used, and we basically rated that, and I think we exhausted his backlog, and so we got Brad Gentle to do the music for this one. He did Death Squared and No Way Home for us. And so it kind of carried the vibe forward, but would have loved. We asked anyway, anything else left? But it was like, oh no, you've got everything I had, because we just went through his unreleased catalog, and went, yep. We'll take it all, and adapted. So
we had to take lyrics out of some songs. There were like lyrics that they recorded in the '80s that we had to take out.
Yeah. Oh wow. Yeah. And that's why people said, like, oh, yeah, it sounds really 80s. Like, yeah, literally, this was recorded in the 80s, put on a tape or a hard drive or something, and then never heard from again. So, that was really cool. But, yeah, I think that was almost like a once-in-a-lifetime, because, to find a, quite prolific music producer that's still active, that will reply to emails and has stuff that's, unreleased. Or alive, it's like the whole decision tree to get down. It was kind of a once-in-a-lifetime.
Wow.
But I would have loved to have, rated Lenny or one of Lenny's mates, other archives.
But having Brad made the tracks for the themes. I think I really love Brad's stuff because he kind of molded those tracks for those themes, and then he did an amazing job because he loves heavy metal and stuff. So I don't know why I was doing a guitar then, but he loves heavy metal and stuff. So to see the contrast in work that he does for moving out in other games, it's wild.
Could you imagine?
Yeah, and it was a very different challenge having the different dimensions. So each had their own twang to it. So I think even if we had something from Lenny, we'd have to adapt it. But look up Brad Gentle, or we'll send you the link. There's I think he's one of his band car shots is him shirtless, screaming into a mic, in a death metal kind of band. He was in a death metal band, and it's one of those musicians where it's like, oh yeah, I do death metal, electronica, whimsy stuff, anything, just I'm a musician, I make music.
That's funny. I would have never guessed heavy metal.
Heavy metal, heavy metal inspired.
Yeah. He looks like he's out of a Lord of the Rings heavy metal kind of guy, the big beard and stuff. So
like stereotypical brutal legend type dude.
Yeah. And we met him at those. I don't know if you know about the game jams where they call them. There's Global Game Jam. There's a bunch of other ones, but we met him at game jams in Sydney where you go to a place at Friday night, and then you don't leave until Sunday night, and you basically make a game in 48 hours at this location. And he would just set up, and because you'd have a lot of developers and some artists, and there'd be maybe 2 musicians, and so he would work on 5-6 games at once, over that 48 hours, and make music for everyone's little games. That's how we met him.
Wow.
I couldn't even possibly think like that.
That's
It's
creative genius.
So teams of 2 or 3 would make, like a game in 48, and he'd just see it and go, and the games are always like, oh, it's a puzzle game or it's an action game. He's like, yeah, cool, and just be blasting it out with, Red Bulls and stuff. And yeah, and at the end it'd be like he'd be like half the credits for the game from the Game Jam location. It's kind of funny.
He just owns the whole thing. That's great.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, it looks like there's a question in the chat.
Oh wow.
Harish Merish says, "Do you think Game Pass has hurt or helped indies? The Fury DLC that came out a while ago never came out on Xbox because everybody just plays Game Pass."
Well, that was...
the interesting thing on that is if you have, I mean, the optimal solution the optimal way to make money on Game Pass would be your game's on Game Pass, but you don't get the DLC for free, and so you get all these players, and then they also buy your DLC. So, that's what we got told from Microsoft was like, hey, if you have a game with multiple DLC and you're getting Game Pass, it's like that's like a double whammy of revenue there. But I mean, it really depends. Some games basically Game Pass is how they go to market. Like that covers all their costs and everything else is on top. And so it just takes a lot of risk out of launching a title. And like for me, like what I think is hurting game sales more than Game Pass is probably like Epic Games giving away free games every week. It's like, it's like, oh, I don't even have to subscribe. I just log in, tick the box, cool, free game. Like, well, I'm satisfied. If you're running low on cash, you'd be like, I'm satisfied for this week. Whereas Game Pass like requires you to have an Xbox and a subscription. So, and once you stop that subscription, you lose the game. So I think there's a lot of just eroding of value of games across the board just from there's so much free stuff out there right now. So, but I think for me, like, nothing against Epic Games, but like those giving away those free games, that's the one where they're like, oh, that's the least barrier to entry.
Yeah.
Yeah, Epic is weird like that. Like I heard they have something.
Oh, they just they want the market share, right? Sorry.
They said they're offering like 100% in revenue if it's exclusive now or something.
I saw
like
that.
I think they just announced that
for 6 months.
For 6 months,
yeah. To be honest, like I think that's because a lot of titles aren't going exclusive to Epic because the size of the store is just not as big as Steam. Steam dominates so heavily that
Steam is way better.
even at 100%, even at 100%, I mean, Epic only normally take 12%, so they're only shaving off 12% normally, or 18 or something. So, I really hope that Epic 12 or 8, I don't know if it's 12 or 18, but like that change would change across all the stores because all the stores take 30% pretty much. I know Twitch takes 50, which I thought was outrageous, but 30 is big enough.
Yeah.
But so Apple and Google now have entry level at the very start. They only take 15, so that helps. But yeah, I think Epic just doesn't have the store dominance it'd be too risky to launch exclusively on Epic, I would say.
Yeah.
For especially for a studio like us, yeah.
Cave Story Plus is free this week.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah, it's hard to
Hey, I pick them up.
compete when
How can you not pick them up? They're free.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't
I'm
use
leaving
them.
with something.
Yeah.
I have a whole.
It's going in my will, and to my kids, I leave my Epic Game free game collection, which I've meticulously collected over the weeks.
I leave my username and password. Enjoy.
Till the end of time.
That's
Free
hilarious.
games.
As long as it's up there, who knows, right?
That is too funny. Guys, I got a question. With Moving Out 2, what was after you made the first game, what is something that you really what did you want to accomplish with Moving Out 2? What is one feature that you really wanted to implement and really stand out in the sequel to separate it from the first? Like what was the main goal that you guys had driving into the second?
Well, I mean, as Ash said, online was the actual the main goal. Getting that in was the main one. That was a huge deal for us. But that's like a pretty boring off answer. So I'll say
No, it was a big deal.
there was one feature that we had. I know this isn't going to sound exciting to many people, but we had trains really early on in Moving Out 1, and we tried to make them work, and we couldn't just find a place for them in Moving Out 1. And for Moving Out 2, like when Ash said, we spent like 4 months or 5 months maybe just in the old editor making mechanics, just throwing all kinds of things at the wall. I spent so much time just getting those trains work. I was like, I need them trains in the game.
That's awesome.
And then, so that's one thing that we got in.
Very good.
Yeah.
There was lots of
Catapult as
little
well.
wins, lots of little wins. Yeah, the slingshot. The
Yeah.
slingshot was
Slingshot,
one we had
that's it,
for
sorry.
ages. We had the slingshot in there. And so even though we've only got it in like 3 levels is quite a bit, but we really wanted to get that in. Lots of little things. There's a level called Gassy Grove in MO2 where you fly around with wind. That was one that, like, I did the wind levels in Movers in Paradise and I liked them, but I didn't do the specific one that I wanted to do, and that's what Gassy Grove was. So for me personally, they were like big things and ones I'm really proud of.
Nice.
Yeah, slingshot, drone, trains, all those ones where it's like, you know, we had kind of
There it is.
perfect. Kudos to the
I got
video
you.
editor. Yeah,
I know.
yeah.
There's a big bug on
And-
it. Though.
I got you.
Al's quick. Al's quick with it, man. Very, very quick.
yeah.
Oops.
Oh, he ruined everything.
behind the scenes.
Man, you jinxed
There we
it.
go. I got you.
Yeah. But it's getting, and slingshots were in the first one as well. Playing for the first one, it's like,
Yeah.
it's those deceptively, you think that's very simple, but it's actually quite hard to code up. So yeah, we're able to have the time to, put that in. Oh no, there's that big welcome.
No, I wasn't going to shout it out, but anyway. I don't know if I should say, but if you go back and watch the very first Moving Out 1 trailer, the very first one we ever did, we had trains and slingshots in them. So that's how long we were working on these things.
Yeah. Well, we had to do the sequel to avoid a class action for false advertising.
That's cool.
That's for the sequel. Relax.
It's coming. Asterisks. Yeah. Because when you have to do a trailer, it's like the very first announce. It's like, oh well, what do we don't have any finished levels. We just have like prototypes, and so you capture what you have, and then as you're putting it together, you're like you don't go back and go, well, it's in the trailer, so it has to be in there. So yeah. We should have put that's why I think they put that not actual gameplay footage a lot of times, just to kind of avoid any concerns there legality wise.
Like you actually could play those, but they were never in a level.
Because there's a big gap between like having a finished level that hey, this is playable, and then making it work for 1, 2, 3, and 4 player, and then having it bug fixed and then art ready and stuff. So because Dave and Brody and Jay Jay was a new level designer that came on. He's actually in, I'm going to get it wrong, Michigan. So we have a US level designer, but like they'll finish levels quite early and we'll play test them. But yeah, there's a huge gap between what it looks like when it's level design finished and then when it's actually finished in the game. And in that process, sometimes you realize like, hey, the art style is not working for this level, or we have to tweak some stuff, or actually in playtesting, because we do a lot of playtesting, those mechanics or that level that we had just isn't working as well as we thought. So so that's why when you have to do a trailer, it's like you can show stuff quite early on, but then it doesn't make it in the final game.
Yeah.
I'm looking at some of the stages that we didn't get to yet, and I'm stressed. I'm like, wait, what? I'm like, what the fuck is that? I'm like, I don't want to do that.
I just played the first. I think it's the first trailer. Was that it? I don't know if you guys are.
Oh no, first trailer for Moving Out 1.
Okay.
I'm like 5 years ago. Something.
The very first. I think it's on our YouTube channel. The very first one we announced. I think we announced it on with Kind of Funny, and then so that was like very early on in there. There's a lot of stuff in there. It's interesting the evolution of that, because the amount of 1,000 decisions that you have, you don't even realize like, oh yeah, we forgot that we even had that in the trailer, because it just looked cool at the time. Oh yeah, here we go.
That's the first one.
Training video.
Oh, wow.
And this is where the fart joke came from as well, because we found an old training video, and it was like, you're going to learn how to be your best, BEST or something like that. And I was like, we need our own version of that. Okay, so these are in the game.
We
this
actually
one wasn't.
we remade them because they're in the trailer sometimes.
That was in the game.
Yeah,
That
and
that
the
was in the
flood.
game.
We didn't have cranes. We had that one. We didn't. We were going to have some bank heists, but we didn't have that one.
Oh,
We got that one in. The flood level we took out because we thought it might have been. Oh, there we go,
it's the
slingshot.
slingshot.
A giraffe.
No dead
Giraffe.
animals.
I don't remember a giraffe.
Mini
And that's one where
movers.
we're getting. Yeah, that was getting shrunk
Oh,
as
wow.
a kid.
We finished
Oh, there's a train. There you go.
That's great.
So we're actually seeing
But,
things from
the-
part 3 in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, the flood level we took out because it's one of those things. It's like, well, what if we launch and there's a big flood like that
Oh,
week?
no, we actually got
and I
that
think-
in. That's in the
Oh,
game.
what?
It was.
Is it?
No, what happened was because Ash was riding moving out one. You picked a year.
with
you were
my-
like the Great Flood of blah blah blah. Just some random year that you came up with, and then we googled it. We were like, oh damn, there was actually a Great Flood in that year. Lots of people died.
Yeah. I think that was me and Mike. But yeah, I just go in and go, oh, we just need a context for this. Yeah.
No, but that got
But,
in.
oh, we kept it in. I thought we took
Yeah.
it out. Okay. Yeah. Oh, we just changed the
We just
Yeah,
changed
oh,
the year.
maybe it was the burning building one. We
It
had
was
a
the
few where it's like,
building one. Yeah, the burning.
yeah,
building,
it's like,
yeah.
yeah, we don't want the game to come out the week
There
of a
was,
burning
there was,
building.
there was a burning building around that time. We were like, I don't know, man.
That
Yeah.
sucks.
Yeah,
I have to
no.
consider that.
It'd be like a fireman game, no?
Yeah.
That would have to be a different game completely.
Yeah.
Save everybody.
Burning Rangers.
Yeah, that's Burning Rangers.
Burning
That'll be
Rangers.
Burning
man.
Rangers.
Hey, Burning Rangers. Man.
Ideas for a
Contact
sequel.
Sega, make some things happen. I was happy that you guys put in the moving in part, just to switch up things, because
Yeah.
obviously it was the DLC in the first game.
Yeah.
But to have it implemented in the second game as like stages, I was shocked. I was like, wait, what do we do here?
I
Yeah.
like the way you did it too with the,
Yeah.
the hologram or whatever of the item, so you know where to put it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was good.
Yeah.
Did you
And
guys?
it's surprising. I was going to say it's surprising how different it makes it, because normally everything's like grab everything and put it into the one central spot.
Yep.
But when it's moving in, you have to really think about the order of things much more, because it's like, oh, if I put that couch down, I'm going to block the door. So
Yep.
Yeah.
I think that's the fun part of making a sandboxy type game, is just by altering the rules or the kind of the objective. You really get a different feel. So I'm glad you found that interesting, because that was part of it. Like, how do we keep this like not feeling like the same every time?
Not bad.
Yeah.
In question, did you guys feel pressured to change the name of the game to Moving In after you put those stages in?
Wow.
The DLC wasn't.
Oh wow.
I just want to know.
No.
The pressure.
No, we had that. We got the brand.
Yeah.
We're gonna push that.
Yeah, there was a big debate. The biggest debate on the name was like with the logo. Do you have like the two eyes, like the Roman numerals, or do you have the big two? And then how big? It's like one of those things. Like you spend a day or two just talking about how big the two should be and stuff like that. So I think we wanted a big chunky two, like Sonic the Hedgehog 2. It's like, yeah, we want a big, make that two really big.
It was Sonic. Sonic was the inspiration. I
Sonic was
remember
the
that.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, that got
Yeah.
posted a lot.
Yeah.
The Sonic, we call it Mega Drive, the Genesis cartridge.
Yeah.
Moving out Tuesday.
Moving
I
on.
like that.
Yeah, and then it was like, do you just call it moving out 2, or do you have like one of those bylines, like moving out 2 into the moving verse or something like that, But yeah, it's just easy to have the 2. And when we came up with the like we have multiple dimensions in this game. So you go to Candyland or Snackmore, you go to Future Packmore and Middle Packmore. When we came up with that, there wasn't so many multiverse media, like it's just, and for us it was a get out of jail free card, where if we had an idea, it's like, oh yeah, we'll just have a dimension for that. Like we don't and that can post rationalize any decision we have, because we did toy around with like movers in time, like going back in time, but you're very limited as to like, okay, you can go back in time, but then it's like cowboys and then medieval knights and stuff, but you're still constrained by essentially reality. So we're like, oh, if we have dimensions, then we can do whatever we want, So we're gonna have floating trains and future and drones. Like, oh, perfect. So it's kind of it was almost like a crutch or a leverage to be like, oh, we now we don't have to worry about any decision we have if it's good, because we'll just post rationalize it to a dimension.
Wow.
But I really opened it up.
It did.
And I was like,
Yeah.
wow, they can really do
Yeah.
anything they want now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
As a game designer, it's pretty cool because we kind of just like come up with some wacky interaction and then we just pass it off to the artists and the writers and be like, make that a thing, please. A lot of the time, we have ideas, but it gives us a lot of freedom. The dimensions, like Ash said, having drones and floating trains, because we got the trains. We don't want people walking on the tracks because we want them to use the train. Yeah.
Yeah, and so it's a magical track. It's
Yeah.
like it's like floating on a rainbow. It's like perfect. So you can kind of game design your way out or post rationalize it any way you want. Because otherwise you have to create these invisible walls, or if they go on the train and then they block it. So there's a lot of level design decisions. Hey, Dave, where it's like it sounds really easy, but like if the player can go anywhere, like how do you block them properly? And
Yeah, and we tried to avoid invisible walls as much as possible in this game. So we've done it all with the environment. But like Ash said, it's a challenge because you've got 4 players and the camera zooms out to a certain extent. So you've got to make everything readable at all different heights and lengths, and then at player counts. It's a challenge, but we did it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, this is one of the premier 4-player games for co-op, couch co-op, or even now online. So,
thank you.
So just
Yeah.
co-op in general.
Yep.
This, and I would say probably Overcooked as top tier.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
But
I'll take that.
Thank you.
But what inspired you guys to do the 4-player mechanic in the first place?
Well, I think
You go.
I got it.
I was gonna, it's more just for moving out. It was like 1 and 2. It's like it works, but then it worked for 4. But if we went any more than that, then it just becomes too chaotic. I know we try to push the chaos as much as possible, but if you add more players, it gets. We tried it and it gets too full on. It's too much stimulation, too much going on. And also there isn't that many, like you guys said, there isn't that many 4-player games that you sit down and play. SMG did S Squared, that's one. But like we go out there and like games that are focused on single screen, that was the other thing. It had to be single screen. So single screen 4-player co-op. There's just not a lot out there. There's Overcooked, there are things, but we were just
Railbound. Is that Railbound or Rail? I know I play that with the kids as well. Yeah. It's a weird there's a weird niche there in terms of like there's not that many games out there, especially ones that you play together, cooperative. Because I think when we were first showing moving out to people at PAX, they thought, okay, it's like me versus everyone else. Whoever can deliver the most, we win. It's like, no, you work together, and it's like, okay. People are just pre-cognitive bias to just being competitive. Like, I have to beat everyone, or it's me versus the world. Or so, it was definitely even leaning on that cooperative side of things is rare as well, which is great for families and that. So it's not about I won. It's like we won together. Yay! Teamwork, go team venture. Kind of thing. But it's an area of gaming that definitely gets less attention these days.
Yeah, like Ash said with the families, like that's the other thing. It's the type of game where like some parents can play with their kids, and their kids can just be running around, not actually playing the game or doing the objective, and the parents can finish the game. So it's something that not everyone actually has to play well to get involved.
Yeah, and people ask like, what's different between this and Overcooked, and they are very different games. And Overcooked's very much more rule and job based, and so Dave, you're doing sometimes you're trapped on that side of the level and I'm trapped on the other. We both have to be just as good to finish the level, but Dave and Brody and Jay designed the level so you can swap roles at any time if needed. So if your kid's not playing well or someone's not doing well, you can still finish it. You just won't get the best time. And so try to reduce some of the frustration there as well, where if one person's not at peak level, it's literally impossible to finish a level. So no, that's a good thing about the 3-player or 4-player. You can have the rules or the kind of roles in doing the level, there's a little bit more freedom there where you can have two people kind of doing the bulk of it and the other two just faffing around, or maybe it requires a lot more coordination to work out who's doing what. So you have to be like, okay, we'll take that, then you wait there and get it in the truck and I'll come back with the other person. So yeah, luckily like adding those more players like actually adds a level of depth there.
You guys did some really smart decisions about the timing of doing things in the game, because playing obviously here and online, you can't exactly count like 1, 2, 3, go. Like you can do it by
Yeah.
the movement, and you can see the arrow, so you know when to let go by watching the screen, because you can't really time it that way. So that's a good idea.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that makes sorry, that's so cool that you said that, because do you know how long we took to make that, and how many different like versions of that we came up with and then finished. So you're the first person that said that in that's articulated it exactly how we wanted. Like that's exactly what we wanted. Thank you. I'm gonna
yeah. It's all those little mechanics and just making it's one of those like the designers try and save the players from themselves and stuff, where it's like you don't realize that's a lot of work's went into that, because it should feel good. And yeah, it's that's you learn that over time, and we learn a lot of that through playtesting as well. So that's probably been our secret sauce on a lot of our games, is just extensive playtesting. We're talking like, I think for Moving Out 1, we did a couple of like 230, 240. And for Moving Out 2, we probably did about 115, 120 different external playtests, and we record them. And we get people to like, either now they do from home. So we record from home, send us the video, and we watch them back and we listen to the audio. And you can hear people thinking and talking out loud and like, oh, okay, they're obviously trying to time it, or they obviously don't understand this mechanic, or in this level, like no one used that red button, so how do we make it more obvious? And so yeah, it's for any game designers out there, or you make anything, just play testing is probably the biggest advantage that you can have, that can cost you nothing. It really just costs time and coordination.
And let people have fun. Let people do the fun things. Yeah, don't be precious.
Yeah, I think we're play testing like still in the Moving Out 1 engine for 2, like maybe like 4 or 5 months in. So we have play tests from 2021, I think, and just and it was just play testing mechanics, like are they getting it, or does the slingshot make sense to them? So yeah, I tell that to when you ever have a call with a developer and it's like, oh, yeah, this game's pretty interesting, like have you play tested it externally? And they're like, oh no, we've done some QA, like quality assurance. And it's like, no, that's completely different. That's just trying to find bugs or fix things. Like just give it to people, don't tell them what to do, and record a video as well, because sometimes they go, oh, we've done playtests, and they fill out a form, like how fun was it? 7. And then we played again, how fun was it? 8. And they're like, oh, it's an 8 now, it's much better. It's like, no, you need to watch people play. Yeah, so that's the secret source for, I think, for any game, is just being able to play test early. And then you then, when you have game design discussions, you're not really arguing like your personal opinion. You're saying like, well, look at how this person's doing this. How do we solve this? Like this is actually an issue, or hey, they're doing this thing that we didn't think of. That's really fun. So let's do more of that.
That's very good advice for developers out there.
Yeah.
Whose idea was the in this game? It's different from the first, the star system. So like when you beat a stage, you get a star. If you get under a certain time, you get a star. But everything is like unlocked. The other things that you could actually do to unlock more stars, like they're not visible when you start the stage, but they're visible after you beat the stage.
Yeah.
Who thought of that one? Because that was pretty clever.
That was Brody. Brody came up with the initial pipeline for that, and then we all worked on it together. But that was a problem we knew we had from the first game, that we wanted to switch that up. But yeah, that was something Brody mapped out the pipeline, and then we just adjusted it as we went. We were still adjusting that as we would go, like real late into it. That was another thing that took a lot of time to balance and get right.
Yeah,
because if we took a level out, we'd have to adjust everything.
There was a I forgot what stage it was. We were doing one stage, and we were trying to take a guess on what we could possibly do to get the extra star. And I'm like, collect all the shit and put it on the truck. I'm like, it has to be. There's shit everywhere. And I'm like, and then we beat the stage, and I'm like, no, that wasn't it. So we did that for no reason. I was like, come on.
Yeah, I mean, part of that's to give more gameplay for the kind of completionists. Definitely like I said, Mario Galaxy 2. Check out even the latest Kirby. Was it the latest Kirby game?
Yeah, the Kirby game was that was a big one. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think some of those games they gate really hard. So we're kind of like soft. It was also for gating certain mechanics. So it's like, because you can choose your dimensions, we don't want you to jump to this level into a really hard mechanic straight away. So we kind of gate it that way. And and the star system simplified it. So we just have normal time and a pro time versus gold, silver, bronze. Because even just determining what a gold, silver, bronze, or a platinum time is. Became quite inconsequential. So the star system just simplified everything in terms of rollout and rewards for players. But yeah, those bonus objectives are fun. Some levels of it's like we have to narrow it down. Other ones it's a little bit harder because it's quite a sparse. The level's quite mechanically simple. But yeah, we do try and make ones where it's like not too annoying. There's no like do something very. In the first game we had like sit on every toilet, and the issue was like we didn't have a log of like which toilets you sat on, so people would get to the end and like I didn't get it. It's like I must have missed a toilet and have to backtrack and do all the toilets again. So we try to avoid those ones where for achievements and those kind of star things where it's pretty easy to keep a log and know that you know what the objective is. But yeah, it's fun. This is like adding an extra, again, a different rule set. So play this level again, but don't break any windows, or only rotate this thing clockwise. Just means like, just kind of changing the paradigm of the level.
Yeah, you guys caught us on a few of those.
Yeah.
One stage it was like break all these out of the basket. And I was like, oh, we didn't do that one. Then the next stage you played was like, break all those. You don't know if it's gonna do it. And it said, don't break any of these. I was like, man, we broke them all this time.
Yeah.
All the window ones.
Yeah, and we. Yeah, and one of the debates we had was like, if you do it organically without knowing, do you get the star straight away, or do you have to finish the level get the star? But for moving out, we always try and lean towards the more consumer friendly. So it's like, hey, if you accidentally or like if you do that organically, you'll get the star straight away. Whereas some games, it's like you finish the level, then the objectives unlock, and it's like, oh, now you do it again, and it's like, oh, we already did that. So we always try and lean towards the more consumer, like the kind of softer approach to things than forcing you to replay it again, even if you just did it.
Nice.
One was like, don't break any glass, and then the first thing I pick up, I turn around and boom.
Oh, I break everything. I can't even. Man, I'm the worst. I was like, everything.
Yeah.
Done.
I'm the worst with that.
Whose idea was it to add chickens that hop out the gate constantly?
I hate them damn chickens.
The chickens. You can blame Ash. Ash, you can point at Ash for the way they behave though, because that was one. The chickens is a touchy subject.
Yeah, that was even on moving out one. That was the one level where like people would always fail the first time, and then the goal was to obviously to use the hay bales to barricade in and stuff.
Yep.
And there was a big debate because I'm like, that's good that they fail the first one because they learn and they get it the second time. But again, when you're trying to decide like who's our audience and how hard do we want to make it, how frustrating. But yeah, I think once you add that, like this is very simple AI and stuff, but once you add that level of AI chaos, it definitely changes it up as well. We don't have too many farmyard levels, so good, because we know it's a big competition. And this also uses another mechanic called sorting. So we had, rather than getting everything into the one zone, we now have multiple zones to kind of deliver stuff. So yeah, but yeah, we've had a few people angry tweets of saying, F these animals, You're like, what? Oh yeah.
I tell you, when we get like bugs from the QA department or like comments, it's always like this chicken achievement's too hard or this chicken thing's too hard. It's just like, I know, man.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Was it inspired at all by
Zelda? You gotta feel for QA because they have like all those achievements that are kind of like just for completionists and stuff. They have to test all of those. So if it's like against, I don't think we had sit on every toilet, but there's certain things like do this in one in every level. They have to literally go through it to check that it works.
Yeah.
And if there's a bug and it's like, oh, that one doesn't work, we fix it. It's like, cool, got to do it again. So they're just,
They moved a lot of chickens.
hats off. Yeah, hats off to them for kind of smoothing it out for all the players.
Well, the cool thing about the new mechanics is that when you first see them, you're like, oh, what? This is completely different. This is not what I expected. What do you do here? Blah blah blah. And then after you get it down, like a few minutes playing, and you're like, this is actually really fun to do now. Because at first we saw like the breaking, you pick up the ball and you break the walls with it.
Candyland.
Yeah, man.
And we were like, what is this smashing mechanic? What is this? You got to break that thing now? What is this? And then it ended up being really fun after we started rolling it down.
I was like, break everything.
And then smashing everything.
Destroy everything.
The feeling you get when you hit things, it's really cool.
Yeah.
That's
like music to the designer's ears, because that's kind of the idea there. And you can even see like at the left side of the level, you can see there's like that machine like smashing the things. That's literally there to kind of organically show you like this thing smashes those. So because we don't want like a big text box to say use this to smash this. We want people to organically kind of discover it.
Nice.
But we also put that in there to kind of, or like environmental storytelling or environmental instructional things, because like the dialogue we have in the game's very kind of just sprinkle of dad jokes and comedy through. We don't lean on that for instructions, whereas a more action like RPG type game would have like a full breakdown and instruction set, like welcome to the new mechanic, stealth kill, like steps you through it. But we have to be like really economical with how we guide players through, and that's the kind of Mario Nintendo way of introduce a mechanic, master a mechanic, and then switch up the mechanic type of thing. So yeah, it's kind of classic game design structure. But yeah, a lot of work goes into making those things quite simple.
That's an example of, we were like, oh, everyone likes smashing the windows. What can we get in that we can smash more? And then it was like, let's just put walls in. We can smash walls. And they were like, how do we justify this? And it's like, oh, it's gingerbread walls. So it was like an organic kind of,
And as we had those, it's like, oh, we got this gingerbread. So like we don't have smashable walls in the future. So we kept that into Candyland. So once the mechanics kind of got locked to the dimension, it's like it kind of made level design a bit more constrained, but easier as well. Is that Jay in the chat? Do you think, Dave? No. But yeah, so her smash walls are just in Candyland, because so it just makes it easier to kind of make each dimension feel unique as well, because they've got like their own unique mechanics.
Yeah,
nice.
Not bad.
Well, the way y'all explain the stuff, it's like, you ever seen that video on YouTube where the guy is talking about Mega Man, and it's like the person jumps in and starts explaining, like Roll jumps in and starts explaining how to do the moves. And it's like, you do this and shoot here and shoot here. And it's like, Mega Man.
Oh, yeah.
And then it's called Jump and Shoot Man or whatever.
Jump and shoot.
That video is one of the funniest videos I've seen on YouTube. But that explains, like, it does things in the game to show you how to do it rather than have the game explain it to you while you play, which is one of the things I hated about Burnout. I love Burnout, the racing game. But whenever you start that game, it shows you this long, unskippable thing that just says, hit this to go fast, go on this side of the road. I'm like, dude, can I please skip this? I know how to play. So, yeah, I rather enjoy the game showing you how to do it rather than telling you how to do it.
Yeah.
That was actually, that's why I brought up the Cuphead. I had actually had this conversation with Brody, the other designer, this morning about exactly what you're talking about, how it's like what you said in Burnout, you go in and you play like 15 tutorials before you're actually playing the game. That's why I play arcade games. You just put in a fake quarter and then you're done.
You don't put in a real quarter?
I put in a little tokens. The Taito tokens.
Scam.
From a simpler time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's interesting when you look at games, obviously back in the 80s, the arcade games versus now, just how
there you go.
unhand-holdy they were back then. And then now sometimes they're too hand-holdy because it is easier just to have like a a dialogue box and and an instruction screen than actually trying to design a a tutorial level type stuff. Yeah.
What's funny about that, about the Cuphead tutorial, that's one of the hardest games. And even though they teach you the tutorial that shows you everything you can do, it doesn't help at all.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're gonna die a lot.
Yeah.
Gotta
Trial and
figure out
error.
a different way to do that.
Yeah. And I think part of that's also because if you're learning just like having the instructions there, you're basically just following instructions and you don't actually learn how that's used in a level. So, sometimes it's like you have to really like ease people in and, I think the Metroid games do that as well, or other things where it's like, oh, I need to roll like a roll under, and it's, you learn in the environment versus learning it on a piece of paper or, side of things. So yeah, those tutorial like onboarding players and stuff and introducing new mechanics is at that the harder tier